Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has spoken to the Indian diaspora in Jakarta. Talking about the diverse cultures of both countries, he thanked his Indonesian counterpart, Joko Widodo, the president, in fact, for inviting him. The Prime Minister said that ties between India and Indonesia are special. He praised the Indian community living in that country, adding that both India and Indonesia are proud of their democratic ethos and their diversity. He said there's a special link between the cultures of the two countries. Talking about the last 4 years, Prime Minister Modi said India has witnessed unparalleled transformation. He added his first priority is to make the country corruption-free, citizen-centric and development-friendly.
भारत और इंडोनेशिया सांस्कृतिक बंधन से बंधे हुए हमारे बहुत पुराने संबंध है, लेकिन आज हम सभी के सामने ये भी सवाल है कि क्या ये पुरातत्व का ही विषय बना रहेगा क्या? ये सदियों पहले ऐसा था, हजारों साल ऐसा था, उस मंदिर में ऐसा था, उस जगह पे ऐसा था? जी नहीं। हमारी आने वाली पीढ़ियां भविष्य में हमारा पीपल टू पीपल कॉन्टैक्ट और कैसे बढ़े, कैसे मजबूत हो, कैसे ये परंपरा जीवंत रहे, इस पर भी हमें मिलकर के काम करना होगा और हर भारतीय की जिम्मेवारी जरा ज्यादा है। पिछले 4 वर्षों में भारत ने दुनिया की अर्थव्यवस्था को आगे बढ़ाने में सक्रिय भूमिका अदा की है। आज भारत दुनिया की सबसे ओपन इकोनॉमीज में से एक महत्वपूर्ण इकोनॉमी है। भारत में रिकॉर्ड स्तर पर विदेशी निवेश हो रहा है। भारत का फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व लगभग $300 बिलियन से बढ़कर अब $400 बिलियन के पार पहुंच गया है।
Kartikeya Sharma is following those developments and joins us live and direct from Jakarta in Indonesia. Kartikeya, lots of things touched upon there: culture, connectivity, trade, development, defense, security, the India-Pacific, ASEAN.
You know, Amitabh, the most important aspect is that, generally people thought that, this is going to be about the Indo-Pacific, infrastructure, defense and other things. But the whole focus is also on terrorism. Indonesia has agreed to support India's stand on cross-border terrorism, penalizing people who promote terrorism, penalizing people who actually execute terror incidents. I think it's a big blow for Pakistan. I think that one of the successful diplomatic initiative within this larger rubric of comprehensive strategic package is also that the issue of terrorism has been adopted, and there will be an interfaith dialogue both promoted by Indonesia and us. I think that's a great success story, Amitabh.
Kartikeya, what are the other issues that people in Indonesia are talking about, say, on the streets of the Prime Minister and the Indian delegation's visit?
See, there are two types of issues. One issue is civil society to civil society. Other issues are between the government. Between the government, it's people-to-people contact. It's about the Sabang port in context of what sort of infrastructure should be developed by Indian companies for them. It's also about CIO opening an office in Jakarta. It's about taking our trade to $50 billion by 2025. It's about more tourism. It's about more cooperation of generic drugs. But, to your surprise, Amitabh, let me tell you, Indian civil society whom I interacted with, when I asked this question to the MEA, they were surprised that actually because of the large diaspora, there is no basmati rice or bhujia or stuff like Indian CTCT available. And when this matter was taken up, I'm being told that the MEA has become cognizant for it. So sometimes the demand and the relationship of state between state differs from what the people of diaspora and expats want. When it comes to the state, it wants more cooperation in defense, Pacific Rim, Indian Ocean, economy. But when it comes to the diaspora, the food for the thought is that basmati matters.
Kartikeya Sharma reporting on how basmati matters in Indonesia. Food for thought there.
Prime Minister Modi visits Indonesia.
Today I stand at the heart of Jakarta, in front of a monument which celebrates the spirit of independence.
Leverages centuries-old cultural ties. Boosts strategic ties with Jakarta.
Watch full coverage of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Jakarta with me, Kartikeya Sharma.
India acts ease. WION reports live.
An Indian Army soldier who died in Kolkata on Monday after returning from his hometown in Kerala has raised a suspicion of the Nipah virus threat in the eastern part of India. The soldier, Sinu Prasad, was admitted to the command hospital on the 20th of April in Kolkata, and on the 20th of May he died on the 25th. The soldier had returned from a month-long leave in Kerala and had resumed duty on the 13th of May. Medical authorities have sent his body fluids to the National Institute of Virology in Pune in Maharashtra. This is the only agency in India to be able to certify whether it is a case of the Nipah virus or not. Authorities say the report from NIV in Pune has not been received, and thus they cannot confirm if the death is because of the Nipah virus. Pooja Mehta now joining us from live from Kolkata for more on that. Pooja, what this story illustrates is, one, authorities have to curtail any potential panic that could grip the public, and two, they have to start screening people who are coming from areas where the Nipah virus is prevalent.
Well, absolutely. The administration has set up a mechanism where people will be screened and monitored at the airports, railway stations and other areas also. And several state government hospitals have also been put on alert. So if a patient is coming in with Nipah virus infection, suspected to have Nipah virus infection, they will be screened separately. But at this point in time, we know of a 27-year-old soldier dying of suspected Nipah virus infection. However, this particular soldier who was posted at the Army Eastern Command headquarters in Fort William, he was admitted to the command hospital on 20th May and he passed away on 25th May. Later on, the command hospital has actually sent his blood sample and other body fluids to the institute in Pune, because that is the only center that would actually confirm whether it was a case of Nipah virus infection or not.
Pooja Mehta reporting live from Kolkata. The reduction in petrol and diesel prices in Delhi by about 60 paise actually turned out to be a clerical error. It was revealed that fuel prices have actually been cut by only 1 paisa. The Indian Oil Corporation today cut the price of petrol and diesel initially by 60 paise, but soon revised it to reflect only a 1 paise cut. The current price of petrol is at 78 rupees 42 paise per litre in Delhi and 86 rupees 23 paise per litre in Mumbai. Diesel is priced at 69 rupees 30 paise per litre in Delhi and 73 rupees 78 paise a litre in Mumbai. In a statement issued later, Indian Oil Corporation said that the reduction was supposed to be only 1 paise, but because of a clerical error, the price prevalent on the 25th of May was communicated as today's price. So just a 1 paise relief after a 16-day surge in oil prices, even though global crude oil prices have been falling for the last few days. The central government is not passing on that fall in global crude oil prices to consumers across the country. Molly Gambhir now joining us from the WION newsroom for more on that. Molly, a bizarre clerical error, but also another development where it seems like opposition states are doing what the centre is not, reducing taxes so that we can pay cheaper prices for fuel.
Indeed, a faux pas definitely coming at an extremely sensitive time, Amitabh, when anger has been simmering for the past few days. 16th consecutive hike is what petrol and diesel prices have suffered over the last few days. And this is definitely a blooper that India's largest fuel retailer has been of course staring at. The Indian Oil Corporation maintains that this was a clerical error. This was a price that was actually, as of May 25th, that was actually projected as being today's prices, and which is why there was only ultimately a 1 paisa rupee surge as opposed to the earlier surge that was reported. So it's indeed a joke, a mockery of the state of affairs that we are looking at in the country. Of course, people have been complaining about how different reasons that have been given out and justifications that have been given out by the government, by the officials, have not been cutting any eyes with the people on ground who have been grappling with the historically high diesel and petrol prices. No explanation seems to be working, and at a timing like that, when anger has of course been escalating against the rising petrol and diesel prices, this is a mistake which owing to a clerical error, has brought the Indian fuel retailer certainly in an embarrassing position. The government also has been giving out reassurances, Amitabh, over the last few days that it will be acting according to of course, concerns that have been raised by people on ground across the country. But Delhi and Mumbai also have been reporting the highest diesel and petrol prices over the last few days, and this is the 16th consecutive hike, but 1 paisa relief ultimately that it is boiling down to in the diesel and petrol prices.
Molly Kumbir reporting live from the WION newsroom. Here the big international story where Afghan security forces have killed 10 attackers. They attacked or attempted to attack the new Interior Ministry compound in Kabul. The attack began with a car suicide bomb exploding near the ministry, and then gunmen who were attempting to enter the compound exchanging fire with members of the security forces. Officials say that 9 people were injured in the attack and at least 1 security personnel has been killed. 2 loud explosions and gunfire were heard initially coming from the vicinity of the ministry compound earlier this afternoon. Police officials initially said that they had stopped entry of any bystanders into the area by blocking off roads. A car bomb was detonated near the ministry's entrance, as is the modus operandi in such cases when attackers attempt to enter the compound, and then a gun battle took place between attackers and members of the security forces. The security forces have thwarted this assault by killing all 10 attackers. There have been several attacks in Kabul, and at least 1,000 people have been killed this year, with hundreds others being injured. A prominent Russian journalist and critic of President Vladimir Putin has been shot dead in the Ukraine, where he had fled into exile following threats. 41-year-old Arkady Babchenko died of his wounds in an ambulance after his wife found him covered in his own blood in their home. He was apparently shot several times by someone who was waiting for him in the back. Mr. Babchenko was a former soldier in the Chechen War and became one of Russia's best-known war correspondents. He left his homeland fearing for his life after criticizing Russian policy in Ukraine and in Syria. He has been denounced by pro-government politicians in Russia over comments that he's been making in social media before his killing about the Russian bombing in Aleppo in Syria and over his characterization of Russia as an aggressor towards Ukraine.
It's about finding out who was behind it. And as I have said, it's too early to say. We see simply the Russian patterns there. But any real assistance in the sense of getting successful on that and pulling it off and finding who was behind it is much appreciated. And definitely on all the points needed, we would welcome such an assistance from the credible international community, of course.
Dan Ashby now joining us live and direct from Moscow. Dan Ashby, though Ukraine and Russia are trading charges over this murder, it's quite tragically ironic that his last Facebook post, which was just a few hours before he was killed, I presume, was talking about a second life, and he was referring to an incident 4 years exactly to this day when he didn't take a helicopter ride which was shot down by Russian soldiers.
Yes, exactly. It seems like Babchenko was a man who constantly evaded death. He was a soldier in the Chechen war. He went back to fight again. He was a rifleman. He worked with grenades. And then, of course, he became a hardened war correspondent, seeing some of the most difficult scenes they were. Fearless, it seems, going out to the front to report on what he saw. But he was also seen as a critic of the government, the critic of Russia's involvement in Ukraine, and an independent voice. And now he's been shot dead. Of course, Ukraine coming out, the Prime Minister coming out and pointing the finger at Russia, saying that the totalitarian regime of Russia does not tolerate honesty in a principled stance. Of course, Russia has come straight back and said that is Russophobia of the highest order, a degree of cynicism, but just another tragic death of a Russian journalist.
And Dan Ashby, this has given critics of the Putin regime more ammunition, so as to speak, in terms of the number of such incidents that have taken place, not only in the Ukraine, but in the UK and other parts of Europe as well.
Yes, a number of Russian journalists have been killed throughout the last number of years. Of course, the most famous, Anna Politkovskaya, the investigative journalist, she looked into Chechnya as well. She was shot dead in her apartment, but she is one of many. There are reports of journalists here being attacked, assaulted, brutally beaten up, some beaten so badly they're left in comas, and of course journalists being killed as well. And there has been much criticism of Russia that it hasn't done enough to ensure freedom of speech, the safety of its journalists, that it cannot be tolerated that journalists who are simply pursuing their profession, trying to bring truth to light, are dying and being beaten up. Now, Russia says that it, of course, is not involved in any of those killings, that it wants serious investigations and has done serious investigations to find the perpetrators. But I think the number of deaths, the number of assaults is a serious cause for concern here in Russia.
Dan Ashby reporting live from Moscow. Thanks for that.